With midterm elections rapidly approaching, the Republicans are a little bit of a bind. After all, they did just pass Donald Trump's big blighted bill where they made massive cuts to programs that many millions of voters, including millions of Republicans, rely on, particularly on Medicaid. And they know how wildly unpopular those cuts already are. They saw the polling before they rammed the bill through. And so what do? How do you get people to stop being mad at you? Well, they have one tool. You'll find it very familiar. They're just gonna lie about the actual level of funding for Medicaid. And so we have a couple examples of this. We're gonna start with Representative Rob Bresnahan.
Governor Shapiro came on this station and said that you lied to him. I'm believing about Medicaid cuts. Could you respond to that?
Well, I don't know how you can call any of this a cut when we are increasing Medicaid
spending. Yeah.
We are increasing Medicaid expenditures by $200 billion.
What? What are you talking about? I mean, the host found that to be very convincing, that after them enthusiastically cutting $1 trillion from Medicaid, we're gonna turn around and say, no, in fact, we were jacking up the spending by $200 billion. And I don't know how much you in the audience have been following this, but I've been reporting on the Medicaid stuff for literally months now across dozens of segments, and I've never heard that number come out. So it's not clear. Huffington Post looked into it. The nonpartisan CBO says it's $1 trillion cut. By the way, he goes on in that interview to say that this law will lead to the largest deficit reduction in, I think, what will be 30 years is the quote. It adds literally trillions of dollars to the national debt. So again, wild lying. And by the way, if you're gonna do wild lying like that, yeah, go on one of these know nothing podcasts where they're gonna agree with whatever you want because they're in the bag for your party. And so there was no pushback, no expectation that he was gonna say at all what he was talking about. And it isn't just him. They're trying this out in different ways. So Representative Gabe Evans says, under this bill, there will be more federal money going into Medicaid under the Republican plan every single year for the forecastable duration of this bill. So that actually got a follow-up. And the spokesperson for Evans said that he's referring to the fact that Medicaid costs generally tend to increase every year. So the idea is, don't focus on the $1 trillion we willingly and knowingly cut. Don't focus on the 10 to 13 million people who will be thrown off the program. No, focus on the fact that as the years pass, things get more expensive. So each individual person still lucky enough to be on the program is gonna have to spend more. You want credit for the fact that inflation is a thing? I don't find that to be persuasive at all, but this is what they're rolling out, David, in their attempt to avoid culpability for what they did.
Well, maybe when these rural hospitals close, it will not be a closure of a hospital or medical facility, it'll be a relocation. And maybe that'll go over well with some of their constituents. I mean, yeah, it's total nonsense. And I think this is what the Republicans are all left to, is they cannot accept, they cannot even argue about the truth. So they just make stuff up and hope that most Americans are uninformed or illiterate or stupid, and that they can somehow convince some of their voters, oh, but my congressman says that no, these rural hospitals are not being closed, and this is not a Medicaid cut, and that's what he says, and it's the fake news, it says otherwise. I mean, that's what they're betting on. They're betting on people's stupidity.
Yeah, and that was a good Senator Kennedy, by the way. I did like that. But anyway, let's end with one more thing that I find to be hilarious, because this entire time as they've been debating this bill, it always seemed a little bit ridiculous, didn't it? That these people who talk constantly about the deficit and the debt when a Democrat's in charge, all of a sudden when they're in charge are gonna massively jack it up so that they can give tax cuts to wealthy people. So you might think, oh, they were forced to be through their greed and through their need to pay off their donors to totally change how they talk about the deficit. No. Just for that moment, they go right back to it again, because now they're saying we have to cut $9 billion from public broadcast funding and that sort of thing because of how much debt we have. So we have to make these little ideologically targeted cuts because there's just so much debt. And they're not wrong. In fact, we have way more debt than we did before they got in power. So I guess they're on to something there. And so immediately and definitely, if it's like President AOC or something in 2028 and she starts talking about like, hey, maybe we do something to stop climate change, they're gonna shout about the debt so much. Oh my God, your head's gonna spin.